Science of the twin flame soul. How are you doing, everybody? So I've made it back to Bali. Can you believe it? From my Australia trip where they weren't allowing me back in. I had to fly all the way back to London in one day, get a new passport, and fly all the way back to Bali. Now, this time right now is very, very challenging for a lot of us. As twin flames, we're being a lot of pressure put on us so that we can actually step it up for 2026. Okay, the DMs since I would say end of last year, so December, are finally waking up. If you've done the work, they're being pushed to wake up, and they're realizing what they did, the guilt, the shame, and they're in chasing energy, not physically, but they are in chasing energy. So you might be having more dreams, telepathy, synchronicities, their energy on you. And some of you, when you feel their energy on you, it's too much and you can't deal with it, and it's overwhelming. It is overwhelming. But some of you are able to stay balanced. So not be a runner or a chaser, but be a stayer and just allow it to go through for you. Now, the DMs, just because they're chasing you energetically, you may be thinking, oh, why aren't they back in? Why aren't they back in? Because first of all, the penny drops. Oh, you're my DF. You're the one. They may not have the terminology, but they get the understanding, right? The Satori awakening. And then after that, it's the regret, the thinking, and then they have to come back fully correct. Now, some of you I know will say, oh, but he's still having fun on social media and he looks like he's having a great time. If that's the case, then you have to do more work. It means you're still in chasing, you haven't balanced, because the DF has to fully ascend, balance, do the mission work, and then the DM goes through it fully. But even in the beginning stages, the DM will be, flaunting the ego, because they're removing all that, they're purging themselves of all the toxicity, and your energy, which is chasing and all over them, actually, they absorb it without knowing, and then they get puffed up and they start peacocking and acting as though they are gods on earth. And I've talked about this in all the lives before. So don't come at me and say, oh, but he's having a great time, he's not ascending. It just means you got more work to do. And it is a lot of work often. So don't worry about it. Just keep going deeper. And if you're not doing enough work, you'll get a lot of tower moments, and then you'll be guided forwards and forwards and forwards. And the DM have always said it's like a building site. At the front, you can't see what they're doing. They'll have the nice pictures or the nice sheets covering up the building, but stuff is happening underneath the surface. And even though they're in their ego and they look like they're having a great time, you'll be able to tell by their energy that they look very sad and depressed. Okay? But once you balance, then they really start ascending. So let me go into detail. So this live I wanted to do last week, but we changed the name of it because of situations. So I hope you're doing well. I know it's quite a challenging time for the next week or so. I might not answer any questions because I've got lots to get through, and also I have to wake up very early, and I've taken some plant medicine as well, so I'm not fully in the mood to answer questions. Okay, so the retreat has basically sold out, and it's happening in 2 weeks, and the filming of the New Earth series is nearly done as well, so that's great. So the current energy, like I said, a lot of DFs are getting triggers, telepathy, and dreams. For some of you, it's overwhelming and you want to run and it's too much. And some of you, it is balanced and you're a stayer, so it's good. Hopefully you can hear me. I've got all the equipment ready. I'm back in Bali. The DMs have realized what they've done. There's guilt, there's chasing energy, but not physically, energetically only, because they're not ready yet. They're still being molded. They're still in the oven being baked. And this year is huge for us. From April onwards, a lot of them will be returning. So keep doing your inner work. Don't have that inner reaction of, oh, they're not doing anything and stuff like that. It happens. It happens. It just means you ain't doing enough. It means you're still in chasing. You're not doing your purpose. You're not doing your mission. You haven't done enough inner work, okay? It takes a lot. So when you are triggered, because a lot of you are triggered, and I was a little bit triggered too with health and the Bali stuff and the visa and everything. So what do you do? What is your default setting? What is your habit pattern? Do you have addictions, avoidance, sex, nudity, validation, attention seeking? The DMs do it, but the DFs do it too in different ways. Do you get really angry and emotional? I mean, I've put my boundaries up, and you will notice when anyone messages me or emails me or comments, I just put a smiley face. And some of you don't like it. And some of you keep wanting to pester me. So I just say link in bio. And I've noticed that that's increased amount of people who are actually having sessions with me now. Like yesterday and today, I was back to back from morning to night. So it's far more beneficial that way, because energetically, when you work with anyone, a teacher or whatever, it has to be a mutual exchange karmically. Because if I'm giving, for example, or you are, and a lot of you are working on boundaries, and that's why I'm talking about it. So if I'm giving away all my knowledge for free, and you are not valuing it, you're not doing a mutual energy exchange, it means you owe me good karma, either this life or next life. And you don't want to have any karma with anyone, good or bad. You want to be done with it. You want to be emptied of it. And that's why it's very important to not take for free. And I don't mean you have to always pay. You can do like I do this for you, you do this for me, whatever, and you agree on it. But I know some of you don't like that. Some of you keep pestering. And for me to get to this stage, I didn't just wake up one day, have abundance, and was able to fly around the world and do what I want. I'm nearly 40, right? And I've been on the spiritual journey since I was born. And even before I met my DM, I was doing deep work, okay? And manifestation work, inner healing work, and all sorts of things. So the knowledge that I have has taken decades, right? And when I met my twin flame, I did a lot of research, and I had to get through all the confusion and the fear-based stuff out there to figure it out. Now, if in my crazy state, someone was telling me information for free, I wouldn't have valued it, I wouldn't have understood it, and I wouldn't have been ready for it. So a lot of you who do that are not ready to hear and to learn. So I'm doing you a disservice. So I have some of you such leeching energy where you can't even be bothered to go onto YouTube and search a video of mine. You want me to send a specific link because you think I just sit on my ass on the beach all day long, smoking plant medicine or God knows what. You think I'm having pina coladas every day. Like literally, Friday night, I went to bed at 5 a.m. I was working till 5 a.m. I was up at 9, so I had 4 hours sleep. And then I had back-to-back clients all day long. I had to go to the gym, come home, do my own stuff, have my own life. And then today was the exact same thing. So some of you are very lazy, very entitled, and very self-absorbed. And some of you also want to reach out and speak, and then all you go on is about your own life. And you are an obsession. You are not balanced, and you're not listening to other people, and you just keep remunerating every single thing. Yeah, you have to remember that you are not the only person on the planet, in the universe, and you have to surrender your ego and become humble, because nothing is owed to you and nothing is expected for you, and we are all beggars at the end of the day, and we have to be humble. Some of you are very self-entitled, and that's going to prevent your union, and your DMs will trigger you to get out of that. And I'm also doing the same, okay? So some of you may not like me, and I know that from the beginning. My stuff is very intense, very deep, very real. Some of you block me and then come back in and out and have all sorts of hysterical fits with your ego. No, that's on you. But anyway, some of you are not. Some of you are really doing well, and some of you have been following for a while, and you've been progressing, and I'm really grateful for that. So that's really, really good. So in this live, I'm going to talk about the fascinating science of the twin flame soul. And today I put a post about karmic or twin flame, right? And there was all these comments about, oh, a karmic twin flame and a soulmate twin flame. It's just names, right? And that, oh, how can a twin flame be karmic? So you have no karma between your twin. However, your twin will trigger you to get rid of your karma. So your twin won't be a very amazing soulmate loving person in the beginning at all. They will always keep you on your toes, and you will do the same, and it will feel quite painful. That's how you know you're on the twin flame journey. But then you ascend and you purify, and the love between you always deepens, and you understand them fully to the core if you are authentic and real with yourself. If you are in your ego, in la la land, you will continue to blame them. and that will keep you stuck forever. And some of you are lost souls and may remain lost forever in victim, shame, blame, and never get into union or progress because you refuse to get it. You are very self-entitled and self-absorbed. And that's not the path of the twin flame, okay? But let's talk about science of the soul. I'm not going to berate because I know some of you are doing excellent job. Some of you are kicking ass and doing amazing work. Some of you have been toiling and really giving your all, really doing the work, being the leader. Fantastic. Some of you are really getting the pennies dropped. Some of you, really good. Some of you is not, but some of you really have. And if you are a true twin flame, you'll resonate with all the stuff I talk about. So when the oversoul creates the twin flame, the feminine and masculine aspects, obviously the soul family is underneath it, but it's made perfectly to mirror each other's core wounds. You will notice if you have deep conversations with your counterpart, your DM, that your lives from childhood would have had the same things happen, or similar things, similar core wounds that would have been created by maybe different dynamics. And it either will be exactly the same, which is matching, or it will be opposite, because that's how you trigger each other to get rid of that stuff. And that's where you feel like they are karmic, narcissistic, egotistical, obsessive, or whatever you want to call them, okay? So the journey, when you look back at it, and especially when you get into union, you realize is absolutely perfect, absolutely perfect. And it's fascinating. I find it so fascinating. It's so scientifically accurate to get to every wound, even the minutiae, small little things that you didn't even know you had. And some of the stuff is not even your own. It is humanity stuff you're taking on. It is ancestral. It's not even your own. So to try to figure it out, where does it come from in my childhood or this time? Maybe you won't be able to. Maybe it was millions of lifetimes ago. Maybe it was to do with females on Earth or males on Earth. You don't know. So the key thing is to accept whatever's going on, feel it, and then let it go. And don't take it personally and don't hold on. But you do have parallel lives, yin and yang, to trigger those core wounds. And it's absolutely perfectly done. There's no mistakes. And that's how the universal design is. And you understand that there is a higher power guiding it all. And the DMs get a lot of bad press, okay? And some of you, I used to do the same. So I'm not going to say that you are wrong and I am right or whatever like that, because I was the same. But when you do the work and you start getting out of it, you start realizing that their issues are within you. And I've talked about that many times. I mean, in the beginning, I didn't want to, I ain't doing that. But it's not what they're doing, it's what it's bringing out for you and triggering you. So the DMs are the unconscious twin in the beginning, right? And they tend to always feel like they're on the back burner and you are on a pedestal for them, actually, even though they don't show it. And they perpetually live in the shadow of not enoughness. They do not feel enough. And I'll talk about where that comes from. It comes from the mother wound. So I do not envy the DM's journey. Some of you do, and you think they're having a blast, but they're not, okay? I guarantee you they're not. If you're on the twin flame journey, both of you are going through it. And they are very good at hiding it, masters of disguise. However, they are going through it too. They are blind, asleep, unconscious, and they have tower moments, but they can't always put two and two together. And they have to go through exactly the same things you did, albeit in a quicker, more intense way to learn. So they do have it hard, okay? And I know some of you are still attached to the pain. I had a lot of pain too. But once you get past it, of course you don't forget the pain, but you no longer associate negatively with it. And you can even laugh about it and be okay because you're not triggered. And the DMs only fully start to ascend when you have ascended and balanced and come into your power and purpose, okay? But if you're feeding their ego chasing energy, they're going to be distorted and living at large. That's how they do, and they have to do it that way. So I'm going to give you some personal examples. I might not go too detailed about my own life, but I'll tell you some things. So when I was in Australia and in London, I had a lot of guys giving me interest, a lot, you know, and my DM felt the absence of my energy. Because prior to that, I was getting a lot of telepathy, a lot of dreams. Still, I'm getting a lot of dreams, but a lot of the energy of his coming towards me, the chasing energy, and a lot of you are too. And when my energy got diverted, because I haven't been really looking at any guys or anything for a long time, basically the DM feels the absence of the energy. They start worrying, have you found someone else? Where are you? I can't feel you no more. And my DM started following various sexy accounts on Twitter quite soon after, you know, and that was mirrored. And in Bali, there's the hottest men I've ever seen in my life, actually. And it's really interesting because these guys, mainly white guys, but there's just Western guys or whatever, guys from other countries, not even Western, they come here, and in gyms in the West, you have to wear your sweatshirt, you have to wear your sneakers or trainers or shoes to work out for health and safety and etc. and sweat. But here they become like Mowgli in the Jungle Book. They go topless and barefoot in the gym, and it's so funny and interesting, but it's kind of a turn on. And on the beach as well, just the most beautiful guys. And if you recall, when I got with my twin in the beginning, like he was acting like that, you know, those type of guys. So I had a huge issue from childhood, actually, from teenage years, where basically I was attracted to those type of guys. I was attracted to guys like my DM, actually, if I'm honest with you, like quite like confident appearing, not necessarily internally they were, and you know, a bit of show offy and you know, muscly and showing all that kind of stuff. But I used to get rejected by those guys constantly. So and then that stopped before my DM, like a couple of years before that. But I had an unconscious like judgment or a wound regarding those type of people, and my DM was exactly that way: macho, show off, egotistical, a little bit narcissistic, etc. And when you heal all those things, you start to realize, because there's always a polarization. What you are triggered by is what your DM is going to be displaying, right? So the more you are judging various things or have a wound about stuff, they'll be doing it more shirtless pictures and or being with other people or whatever it is that your insecurities are. But when you kind of heal from it, you start to find it kind of attractive and no longer hilarious, no longer triggering. It's hilarious now, because before you're healed, you're focusing on the negative aspect, and your energy is wasted on that, right? So they do the polarization, but to collapse the polarization and the distortions, you literally take your energy away from it, and you neutralize it. And when you neutralize it, usually, if not always, the DM's behavior stops doing that. They stop triggering it because it's no longer getting a reaction from the shared consciousness. But you no longer are judging or triggered by those kind of people as well. You're kind of feeling affinity with it. You're feeling kind of good about them, right? The confidence, and you feel it's good. And I remember thinking, oh yeah, about my DM, like, you know, I actually find him really attractive. And the confidence. Yeah. And that's why the DMs, there's a question that some people ask, like, you know, if he's posting online to get my attention, which often they do, they're kind of unevolved, and I'll go into detail about that and how they do it, because they're very sly. But basically, if they were to send you some message or picture, that would mean they have to open the can of worms and start communicating. But because they are afraid and not ready fully yet, they will put it on other platforms for you. Okay, so my DM got triggered by my energy going elsewhere, and currently he's gone on vacation, South America or whatever, and posted after about a year, actually, a picture of him looking on the beach, you know, in a really tight Speedo, looking really macho and sexy, because the DMs want your energy. They don't want you looking at other people. It's really interesting. They won't come forward yet because they're not ready and you haven't maybe balanced or the timing's not right, but they don't want you to get sidetracked and off track. And they're saying, look at me this way, I still matter. And I'm going to read you some notes about that as well, because this information I'm telling you, you can apply it in different ways. It doesn't have to be exactly the same scenario, but you'll see how it resonates for you in different ways if you're a twin flame. So let's get into it. So why do they do these things? Why do they do these things, right? Well, often it's an impulse and it's a reaction to energy that they feel from you or the absence of it. And it's not really planned. And they're doing things without even fully knowing sometimes, or they're doing things, even though they think, because my DM knows I don't really like him doing naked pictures online or whatever. And even though they know that, they still want a reaction. And sometimes they'll do stuff that is not sensible or doesn't make sense because unconsciously, deep down, the soul is trying to get you to not have an issue with it and be okay with whatever, because you can never lose your DM. They're always there. Your flame and their flame is always wanting each other, always. So it's kind of like, get over yourself. Get over yourself and be okay with it. And I remember when he used to do all these pictures, my cousins, who were very open-minded people, my family, were like, yeah, he's hot, flaunt it, it's no problem. Whereas for me, it was a big trigger, right? And for you, if your DM does certain things, it's a big trigger, but it's actually just the ego and fear. And once you get rid of the fear and you're no longer worried, you let them do whatever and they let you do whatever. And then they don't even want to do that stuff anyway, but it's not an issue. It's a non-issue, okay? And basically, they want to feel your energy. They want to feel something. They want to also learn how to walk and be free and stand on their own 2 feet. And they want to show to you as well that they are able to do that. So they try to reinvent themselves as they start to heal and start to choose themselves. And they also get rid of baggage, karmics, or people-pleasing behaviors. And it's a process, and you have to give a lot of grace. As you can see, twin flames are so intricately connected and telepathically connected, if you're true twin flames. As you download information or have aha moments, they also have the access to that. But when they're unconscious, even if it's right in front of their face, they can't see it until the penny drops. And the penny dropped in December for many of them. And they finally, oh, it was always in front of me. So basically, let's talk more about it. So sometimes the things they do is not just about you. Not everything is about you. It's about their own self-exploration and development. If we try to shove things down their throat and explain it to them when they've not asked or they've not got to that place where they are begging you to tell them, or they're researching themselves, like the followers that I talked about, they don't value it and they won't listen to it. It's far more interesting when you are working, for example, with a child who's learning to crawl and walk, to let them figure it out themselves, to let them get to their own conclusions, which is always going to be the same, that you are the one and they need to be with you and they need to level up and support you. But for them to get to that point, it's far more beneficial if they do it alone. And then they will really value it, okay? And you have to let them have that grace period when they're doing things. Because you also need to give yourself grace and forgive yourself. Like me getting all this attention, or me being in the gym or the beach is like, wow, look at these guys. I haven't looked at any guys for a long time. So my energy was, you could say, leaking. And therefore, I'm a human, right? So therefore, there's going to be an equal and opposite reaction. So I have to forgive and be graceful to myself, because even when you are, balancing, ascending, whatever, the ego can always rear its head back, because when you're liberated and enlightened, that's only for the moment. You have to maintain it. So you might have a little wobbly, so you have to forgive yourself. And a lot of GFs will be like, no, I'm a diva, I'm an angel, I'm perfect. You're not. And therefore you have to give the DM grace. And they're catching up too, aren't they? So let's carry on. You are always emotionally there in their mind, always. And it eats away at them. And I've done loads of posts recently, because I do a lot of DM posts to help you understand their point of view. Some of you can't understand it because you're still in obsession stages. But when you truly get it, you get it, right? So they are emotionally connected to you, and the tenderness is always there. And you, as you ascend and start doing your purpose, it's not only very attractive to them, but it also triggers them, because it shows to them where they are not, or how far behind they are. And therefore, they might try to do things to kind of add a jealousy, because they're still an ego, add a wanting validation, or any other things to kind of like show you that they are matching up or that they can do it too. So my DM went to Costa Rica to say, I can travel too, right? And I feel like a lot of them have had family issues and work issues and karmic issues in December where they've been really triggered, like really badly. So they're really wanting to get away from that and get away from all that stuff. So it's ego. A lot of the ego's getting purged. And when they do their peacocking, it is testing you to see whether you're truly balanced. Are you truly ready, or are you going to lash out at them? So sometimes they might do behavior that they did before, which you might think, is this a regression? I've done so much healing. But no, it's a revisitation, it's a trigger, it's a test, but it's also because you fluctuate too. So my DM was like, look at me, I'm free, I'm hot on the beach, look at my ass, for example, right? And that's not a regression, but it's just a refocusing on the connection and the union. All right, let me carry on. All right, it's about them saying, don't forget me. And that's when they appear in the dreams, they appear telepathically. When some of you like try to like say, oh, moving on, I'm detached, then you start feeling them again, because it's the universe is always bringing you back on the path and not allowing you to forget each other. And they get that too. And if they were to be with someone else or date or whatever they do, they will always know that it's you they want, because a divine connection cannot be replaced with anything, drugs, sex, or rock and roll, okay? They haven't let you go at all emotionally, and they oscillate between the fantasy of you, the uncertainty, and the fears, and they try to regulate themselves. You're always energetically linked, but at the moment, the DMs are not peaceful enough to be in their power, okay? So they do want validation, they want to be chosen, they have a fear of emotional displacement and identity and ego repairing going on. And a lot of it's to do with their mother wound, and I'll talk about that. Your energy matters so much to them, so much. And if you get aroused by others, they will also feel that energy going away. They might not know that you're getting aroused by others or dating others or whatever you're doing, but the joint consciousness will also inflame that energy in them as well, right? And it's okay. It's not about stopping it and avoiding it, controlling it. You have to let it flow and purge and not judge it and be accepting of it and integrate it and release it, okay? So you feel it and then you let it go. And because you're going through it, because you're human, they will go through it. So you give grace and you keep forgiving and you keep loving, and it's okay. And you can't lose them. So you want to get out of that ego, jealousy, competitive nonsense, which the DMs still are in a little bit, but they'll get out of it and they'll learn from you. And you just keep focusing on God and your mission and yourself, and the DM will always focus on you. That's how it is, because they connect through you, okay? To God. All right. So when you are down, think about what your habitual patterns are, right? So for my DM, when he's down and triggered, it's all about, look at my ass, look at my Speedo, look at me, I'm sexy, look at my heart. But it doesn't fulfill anymore right now. But it is when you're extremely triggered, what do you do? Now, when I had a habit pattern from the past, when I was extremely triggered, I'd look for validation through sex or dating or men or flirtation, right? And some people have shopping addictions, or I don't know, weed or drugs or God knows what. You know, you all have things. So your DM will always mirror that, but it's okay. It's not no problem. And though they show on the social media or in real life that they're having a picture perfect time, it's not the case. And you can always read the energy and you can always feel it as a twin flame, always can, right? But they are starting to feel more confident eventually and starting to like perform or get into their masculine power, because they're always going to be the alpha. The DMs always want to be alpha, always want to be top dog, you know, and always want to be that protector, because they're like the match, not the match, but they are like the alpha, you could say, right? That's how it is. And really, you'd find that attractive. If you really allow it and not have fear about it, you'll find it really sexy. Let me carry on. they are really fixated on us, and they really want to be with us. So they are letting go of karmic attachments, especially if you're valuing yourself and you're loving yourself and you're knowing your worth. They are mirroring that, okay? So they will not necessarily do anything with anyone or want to do that. They are knowing that you are the person. So but if they're triggered, they might do silly steps back, as might you. But it's not regression. It's just clearing away other things that are residually left inside. Okay. So that is that. Is there anything else I want to talk about? So they are hesitant to make any forward action with you at the moment because they are still leveling up, but they also don't want to do it with other people, actually, if you've done the work, okay? Because they're bored. They're bored of that life and they're bored of the old stuff. Let me carry on. And even if the opportunities are present, the universe usually will block it for you or them as well. And if it doesn't, then it's meant to happen and it's okay. So don't stress about anything. But right now, it's a lot of us are going through stuff. And the reason why, let me explain this. So us as twin flames, we are now doing planetary work. We're doing big things. And some of us are having big stuff happen to us. And I don't mean big stuff is, oh, he didn't message me for Christmas or New Year. That's not a big thing anymore. Okay. I mean planetary stuff, healing the world. And so a lot of our energy is focused on that. And then when we have lower vibrational individuals who are feeding on us, we can't handle it right now. So I really respectfully say to the DFs who are trying to do my head in, I'm not going to reply, and you have to book a session, because our energy, you can tell I'm very busy, okay? And you have to let the leaders lead and do the big work and get yourself to the same position while then dragging everyone down, because this is not about you. Get out of your self-absorption and your entitlement. We have missions to do. So get yourself sorted. Okay, anything else? I'm not going to answer any questions, by the way, because I don't have time. So if you're writing in the chat, unless someone else responds, I will not respond. So you'll be wasting your digits. You book a session, okay? Link is in bio, or you pay £5 for a question, okay? And you can email that after you've paid. All right, let me see. They're afraid of being vulnerable. They really are. And they've never felt any vulnerability or emotional safety until they met you. And it scared the fucking daylight out of them, and that's why they ran. So you've got to give them patience and time, okay? They'll get there. They'll get there. And we self-soothe when we're triggered, and they do the same. So it's okay. Anything else? Sorry, I've got all these notes, and I'm not going to read all of them because not all of them are relevant. Some of them are very personal notes, which is not needed. Okay. But I hope you understand that this time of triggers will pass. It's like being on a roller coaster. Just strap yourself down and let it flow. Accept it. It will release. Feel it and flow with it. It's okay. You have to really be peaceful and patient with yourself and them. Okay? Don't get too stressed. All right. They are looking for confidence boosts at times. Sometimes we do it as well, because you have to realize we are the evolved twin. So we understand that we have to have substance. We have substance and we have grounding behind the things we do, but they are still in the matrix and the 3D. And the matrix is all about who can get better and who can get ahead, dog eat dog, right? That's how it's like. So for example, when I go to the gym, a lot of the girls and guys are very egotistical and narcissist. Like in the gyms here, they're all topless and all they do is look at themselves in the mirror, and they love it when anyone, male or female, looks at them, because it validates that ego and it fulfills them when they're in that sort of ego matrix unhealed place. And the world in that scenario is very biological. So I see a lot of the females in the gyms here wearing skimpy in the pool or in the gym, skimpy bras and bikinis, right? Like thongs or whatever. And it's not. I see that it's not done for themselves because they go around looking at men and to get flirtation, right? And they're showing their hips and their breasts, which is where they're going to be bearing children, right? And for the men, it's all about showing that they are dominant and muscular. It's all biological, geared towards um, not procrastination. What is it when you have sex? That word, beginning with P. So they enjoy the DMs also when they get their reaffirmed image, especially when they're feeling down or when they're in their ego. Especially when they've gone through a lot, because the DMs would have gone through a lot. But they only want a reaction from you, actually. That's who they're doing it for. And they do it when they're triggered. So when they're showing off or when they're pretending like they're having fun or they're doing the best life, they're just doing it for you. That's how they operate. And some of you operate like that too. I've seen some of the DFs doing OnlyFans or nudity or going on pictures and trying to make their DM jealous, because that's also coming from a manipulation ego place. But you've got to transcend that, and then your DM will transcend that too. Okay. What else do I want to talk about? They care about how you see them and what reaction. And even sometimes they'll do stuff that you don't even like, because any reaction is a reaction. It gives them energy. It shows that you care. Even if you don't like it, it shows that you care. If you like it, it shows that you care. That's the level of maturity that they're at usually. And it's kind of endearing, to be honest, because it's like seeing a child. And it's kind of funny. You don't take it personally. It's almost like, oh, it's for me, babes. Okay. And they're not going to be taken away from you. So don't worry about it. They want to know that you are still affected by them. Whether it's good publicity or bad publicity, doesn't matter. So whether you're triggered or whether you enjoy it, we have a gecko here. It shows that they're being seen by you, especially if your energy is going elsewhere, if you're detaching or if you're going to date other people. Either spirit will bring you back to them or they will do something to bring you back to them. They might show up or do something. And the ego just wants reassurance. It's not being cruel, it's just where they're at, where their evolution's at, okay? Underneath all of that is a childlike wish to be wanted by you, not by anyone else. They want reassurance, but they don't want to ask for it directly because that would mean they have to give you something, okay? What else? It's all playful at the end of the day. It's all innocent, to be honest. They're deep down, they're very innocent people, but you can only see their innocence once you've healed yourself and you see your own innocence. And you're very real with yourself to know that you have issues too. And that you go through stuff. And they enjoy it. Twin flames themselves, both of you, are very competitive and very jealous and will always be that way, but it becomes more as a team. And it is so that you keep going forwards, because otherwise you'll stagnate and get bored. And you won't be able to purify, heal, and go forwards and do your mission, okay? They want to know, do I still matter to you? And that's why they do what they do, you know? And that sometimes they'll flaunt things or say things. Like I said, I'm not answering any questions. So you'll be wasting if you're writing lots of stuff down there, unless other people are going to answer it. Because I am going to answer it today. Anything else? And then I'm going to read some other notes because they're quite interesting. All right. And there's a difference between their public image, because they're very much about how they're seen in the matrix, people pleasing or image, when they're unhealed, okay? They're very much about showing off or fitting in or being top dog. So that provocateur archetype, playful, youthful, flirtatious, can be misunderstood, but really they want to just appear sexually bold, carefree, available, free, wanted. They want you to know that they're a catch because they're very insecure, okay? So it's a display and it's just feel into it deeper. It's just child play, actually. It's an exaggeration. But really, inside, they are very contained, selective, caring. If you've been really intimate with your twin flame, usually, not always, but usually they're very loving people. Okay? It's just the ego makes them act out. And sometimes they don't even know why they're acting out, you know? And people will see them and make all sorts of stories about that, what they show outside. But inside, the truth is there, and you've seen the truth. And that scares them as well. Right, anything else? Let me see. And you know, there's these misperceptions because they act as though they are this chauvinistic, oh my God, out there person. You would think that they have done a lot of things, but truly, people who show off don't actually do the things. It's the quiet ones, you know, the ones who don't need to show off, who are actually doing everything because they don't need to get that energy that way. All right. And when they view you, they love it when they see your expansion, your freedom, your wholeness. They admire it, but it also triggers them. It triggers comparison. You know, you're living it up fully. Are they keeping up? Are they? Because in the beginning, they avoided, they ran, they didn't do the work, right? So they're behind, whereas you did the work, hopefully, and you got ahead. And then they look at you and you're like all the way in the stars and they're so behind. And that kind of can make them kind of feel jealous and needy and wanting. They might feel smaller and unsure. Maybe they feel you're going to be taken away from them. So sometimes they'll act out in stupid ways, sabotaging ways just to get your energy. You know, they see you as this confident, well put together, respected person, especially if you balance yourself out. And that really appeals to them. And when you do your purpose, it inflames the flames and they're really addicted. And that's a good thing. Okay. And with DFs, it's all about, for us, usually it's about meaning and sensuality and not having to flaunt ourselves, okay, on the internet and or in real life, because we are quietly comfortable in ourselves, in our wholeness. They are not. And as the matrix twin, they will therefore lack that tenacity or lack that refinement or lack that sort of tidiness, and they'll do things that are a little bit messy and appear a little silly and stupid, because when they are anxious or scared, they make mistakes and they'll fumble. And it's kind of funny when you think about it, to be honest. So they might do stuff that's a little cheapened, but you will do stuff that is more divine. And that actually turns them on because they're learning from you. When they see you progress energetically, they're getting the downloads and they're understanding that that is the healed way or the better way to do things. So don't stoop down to their level if you can, and try to keep going forwards and being up, being sensual without being crude, being intentional, embodied, and expressive rather than performative and needing validation. Okay? Because you don't need that. You don't need to prove to them or others that you are it. You need to know it yourself, and then they will know it themselves eventually. So they will admire you in that way. They will have reverence for you, emotional intensity, and it brings up something deep and private for them when it's done in a tactful, beautiful, aligned way. Yeah, you don't have to be overt and obvious like they are in the beginning, because you don't need to. You don't need to shout and scream to be heard and seen. The person who has to do that is deeply lonely, actually. And when you are aligned, it unsettles them rather than being obvious. It unsettles them more because it shows the pureness inside of you, okay? And they are desiring you, they get fantasies and all sorts, and the attraction grows. Okay. Anything else here? So yes, as the divine feminine, it's about being like the high priestess, so being strongly subtle, being emotional, um, with meaning, embodiment, sacredness, rather than explicit, okay? And that will make them see into the truth of your soul rather than just physicality. So emotional subtlety is better than full-on obvious displays, whether sexual or needy validation wise. Hopefully it's all making sense. I'm trying to be not so cryptic because a lot of this is personal. And then I want you to also feel how it works for you in different scenarios and dynamics. So they are stirred emotionally when they see the tenderness in you and the kindness and the love. That's what they actually want. But they are acting in the beginning very crude, very obvious, very ego-driven, but that's not really what they want. That's a front they've had to have because of their mother. A lot of their mothers, what they would do growing up, would put them on a pedestal and then drop them. Put them on a pedestal and then drop them. So they never knew where they stood. So the mother would like wean them a lot and have them on their breast, like kind of thing, and do everything for them, but then be very toxic to them. So they never learned how to grow up and be themselves. And then they've always expected that the feminine would provide financially, mentally, emotionally. They are owed it because they've always had that done to them. But because they were surrounded by the toxic feminine, they are very in tune when you are in your toxicity. And then they also start to mirror their mothers and behave toxic until they heal and they see that you don't ask that of them. All right. So you really want to be in your centered, balanced energy and allow the wild horse to eventually calm down. You don't need to play the game they play. Go higher, go more grounded, and that will serve you far better. Okay, it will touch their heart more and it will move them deeply and allow them to release, to heal. So then they don't reduce you to a sexual object either. They actually feel more love for you, and that's what they want. They want to feel safe to receive and be safe in your presence, actually, because they don't normally feel that with feminines. So that's why your groundedness, your balance is very important, not being triggered. They want to be soft and stop performing with you, and they want to yield. They want to be able to be grounded, embodied, and confident. They want you to be grounded, embodied, and confident so they can soften and be vulnerable. And then they can feel safe to receive and feel like you're not going to judge or attack them. Okay? And the reason why they behave the other way is because of all the traumas and the mother wounds and stuff like that. So you being steady, balanced is really good. And then they can relax out of performance and not perform anymore. Okay? They don't need to advertise themselves and be egotistical. So if you have your sexuality integrated with meaning, your skin or your body or your way of being is embodied, not begging for attention or reaction. It's spiritual and physical alchemized together and grounded. It's confidence that doesn't need attention. That is where you want to be at. Because usually they will have got used to using their sexuality to regulate themselves when triggered, using their body as currency when they feel insecure, and people pleasing, and showing themselves off in different ways, whether it's partying or being out there and being quite obvious when they're feeling really vulnerable, lonely, and unseen. So for them, it's all about validation, not the meaning. That's the part they've lost. And the meaning is meaning that you have to be vulnerable and connected to your emotion, which they haven't. They haven't necessarily refined how to be subtle, because being subtle requires you to be inner security, to have secureness inside, which they don't have developed yet. You have. If you have subtlety and insecurity, an inner security, if you're secure within yourself, then you are comfortable with yourself, you're comfortable with the peace and silence, you're trusting and you're contained. And that's beautiful because you don't need to shout to get attention, whereas usually they are. A person who shouts the most is the most sad, actually, or most empty. So see it that way. The one who's performing most on like a monkey or a clown on the stage, they are hiding away from stuff and they are in pain and they are suffering and they are doing smokes and mirrors. Don't get triggered or absorbed by that performance. It's just a reaction to trauma, okay? Because they don't have depth. They haven't learned depth because they learn to get attention through exposing themselves or pleasing people or objectifying. And sexual objectification, whether it's with a partner or many partners, give them that reassurance quickly, and it reduces their anxiety rather than having to be intimate, because intimacy is scary, being vulnerable. It's a coping strategy that they've developed. It's not what they actually want, okay? But they do learn through you. So you have to be the role model, okay? And when sometimes people ask, right, now why does he follow all these other hot accounts, girls or guys or whatever? Well, they're comparing themselves constantly. They're not doing it because they want those people necessarily. When they follow like accounts of guys or girls, they're questioning always. It's always about their own inner insecurities. Am I enough? Do I belong? Do I match this? Because they're very matrix driven, right? Comparing themselves to other people with money or cars or whatever. That's how they are operating, and it's not their true desire. And they actually want safety, and they want grounded presence, and they want to just let that act go. So you have to really be that safe space, and then they can be your protector, okay? And when they objectify themselves, is because when they feel triggered or they're unsure of their worth, that's what they do. They objectify their body. They get afraid of being overlooked, so they be quite obvious. It's safer for them being wanted for their appearance or their actions or what they do for people, pleasing, whatever, rather than actually allowing people in to see them truly, because they fear they're going to be rejected. And it's all defense mechanisms, okay? So in terms of maturity, whether sexual, physical, emotional, spiritual, for you, it's about integration and acceptance and embodiment, and mixing it with the emotional and spiritual and physical. Whereas for them, it's reactionary, ego-based, and regulatory, because they're just trying to cope and survive. And you teach them that you don't have to do it that way. You don't have to sell yourself to others, karmics or family or work, whatever it is. And they haven't learned that yet, but they will. So you don't need to become like them. You need to become better, quiet, embodied, balanced, secure. And then they will see that as a maturity. And they will like that. Okay? Is there anything else I want to talk about? All right. Is there anything else? At the moment, they're at a place of total mental exhaustion and withdrawal. And they have low mood and fatigue. And you can feel that, you can see that. And when you're really down, remember when I was really, really ill, I wanted my DM. So when you're really triggered, you want your DF, you want your twin flame. So that's where they're at. And they may not show that fully, but because they can't articulate it, okay? So they will do silly things or reactionary things to get your attention. It's not a regression, it means that they really want you and they're getting there. Just acknowledgement they want. All right. And they're starting to become more authentic as you are and starting to show themselves more real. Their ego is going. And they hope that you can see them for who they truly are and not just who they pretend to be. And the bravado's going and the performance is starting to go, and they're starting to be seen as more than just a physical person, you know? So have that empathy, have that ability to see beyond, see the innocence, the purity, see the child within, that is just crying out for help, just crying out for help. And it doesn't matter if other people are around them or messaging them or whatever. They only want you. They only want you. Okay, I think that's enough from the laptop. Maybe that bored you. Maybe it was interesting. I don't know. But I want to talk some more things now. So, I had some more stuff in the laptop that I will talk about later. So we'll let that come up later. So we got to get to a place where we're at 0 point, but also where we have 0 fucks given, because we can't take on everyone else's issues. We've got big things to do. So it is peace, love, and light, but it's also fuck you. You have to be very ruthless at times. Otherwise, people will take you for a ride. So you've got to be a warrior, a person of love, but a person of also strong boundaries. And that's your inner DM. Because often the DFs and people in the world generally want to blame others, look outside and say they were a narcissist, they were gaslighting, but they're not owning up to their own mistakes, and they're not understanding where they're not having boundaries and they're allowing this to happen to them. They're in a victim mindset rather than empowered, and they want to blame everyone else. And with regards to the people who contact me, you've got to do your own fucking research, because otherwise you won't value it. So I'm just like revisiting things I've talked about. So the boundaries, okay, need to be there. But yes, people may, as you ascend, start getting jealous of your ascension and your energy, and therefore you have to have the boundaries. And as a twin flame, you've got to be careful where you go and where you bring your energy back. And as you do that, it will inspire your DM to also do the same. Enough is enough, because a lot of these DMs, they have had a lot of stuff happen to them in separation and since childhood. And they've had loads of people nitpicking and judging them, including their mother, including you, and they're very sensitive. So when you have your own boundaries, they will learn to have that too, and it's a very good thing. And if you have boundaries, the reason why they like that is because they know then you will respect their boundaries, because they'll have boundaries too, because they're allowed to have that, right? So don't overbear at them if they need space. Because as DFs, we have a problem. We are giving too much of our energy away all the time, and we need to reel it back and give ourselves our energy so that we are not depleting, because we've got big things to do. And they're not regressing. It's a lot of triggers are happening right now, and you just let them figure things out and understand that that no longer works for them. And because the DMs don't really think about alignment, they're just about the material world in the beginning when they're distorted, and they want to look good, have good things, and they want attention. Yeah, and they'll get jealous if you're successful, because they want it to all be about them actually, and they want you to be stuck on them. But you can't do that. You have to move forwards. When you do your self-development, your self-realization, then they will also find that through themselves by mirroring, and they will also see it through your eyes and the energy that passes through telepathically, and that will fast track them onto their ascension. And you are the one as the leader to help with that. They want meaning in their life, but they don't know how to do it themselves. Okay? DF looks to God, like I said, and the DM looks to the DF. That's it, always. They don't know how to be intimate. You were the first person they really became intimate with, and it's about accepting, because intimacy means accepting yourself and being vulnerable and open and emotional, and they are not good at that. They are typical masculine men who block that all out. So that's why they kind of like ran. But when you are deeply intimate with yourself, you accept yourself at a deep level, and that's what they're scared of. But when you balance, they will get to that stage as well. They want you to depend on them, even if you don't need it, and they're pissed off when your attention goes elsewhere. Now, their mothers taught them to be very codependent on them, and everything was done from them when they were children, and their mother kind of kept them in the childlike state, and they identified more with the mother for safety, but the mother was always toxic. So when they encounter you and you are always giving of yourself, they don't know how to deal with it, because they're used to being put on a pedestal, put down, having to perform, having to do something to get the attention, seeing the toxicity. They're not experienced real love. And when you get attention from other people, they feel it. They feel that your energy's gone and what's happened to you, and it kind of makes them feel excluded out in the cold. Now, I'm not saying you should purposely go and do this and be manipulative, because that's not how it works. But it makes them think, are they worthy of you? Is there someone better than you? And they feel locked out. So they are operating very much in the shadows. They are constantly feeling not good enough, and they're anxious and having a battle. It's not an easy place mentally to be in, okay? And then they might do things that are passionate to get attention and try to stoke the fire to get you back, get your energy back, and to get you to stop you flirting with others or whatever else. And when you become real with yourself, because you are just as fickle as they are, because your ego can come up, or you have needs, or you do stuff that is also not aligned, it will get rid of your judgment towards them and you wanting to punish them, because you are also human. But right now, a lot of the DMs are in lone wolf mentality. They are used to the female always providing them, like I've talked about, because their mother has taken every last ounce of self-respect out of them. And they've made them into a performing monkey, a puppet, who dropped them, put them on a pedestal, and then wiped them on the floor. And then they learned how to be toxic through them. And they are in lack. Now, some of you are in lack too. And as a DF, you have to be in abundance. Otherwise, you're distorted feminine. So divine feminine knows that nothing is withheld from you. God is always providing. All the resources are infinitely at your hands, and there's never lack. It's always abundance. So you'll be free with finances and all that kind of stuff, and that's how they will learn too. Their mothers betrayed them so much and give them so much agony. And right now, a lot of them have been having issues with their parents, who have been serving justice to them. But that's good as well, because they need to be triggered. So they trigger you, and then the entire world triggers them, and they collapse, right? And that's how their masks fall off, and they really have their pride shattered. And that needs to happen. But you need to keep leveling up and give them homework energetically, so they know that they have to progress, because they need to see you progressing. They need to see you in your power, in your alignment, in your mission, because you're the advocate, and you need to make sure that they know how to, they walk and follow your footsteps, okay? You don't walk and follow their footsteps. So you need to keep going. You don't want to be looking at them and then just being depressed. You need to say, fuck that shit. I need to keep going. One foot above the other, and keep going forwards, and they'll get dragged along eventually. Anything else? And they also know that it's a journey and it's not overnight. And they are more self-fixated, like I interviewed the DM on yesterday. They're more interested in themselves, which is great, because that's what we should be, but we're focused on them. And therefore, they are basically trying to sort themselves out. And sometimes that looks very messy. But they're always looking for you. The passion is always there. And when you're doing your purpose, they love it. They love, 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 love it. Last few things. You got to keep leveling up. You got to keep doing your work. And they know by looking at that you've done the work and you're in your truth, and that when you're in your truth and alignment, you get results. And they need to see that. That's your inner DM working, your action-oriented stuff working, because you're doing it from inspired intuition and action. You're doing it from alignment. They don't do it from alignment. That's why things don't work out for them. They do it from ego and action. And that's why life collapses. They don't know how to do it from intuition, from inspiration. They're not tapped into that. So you're going to teach them that energetically first. You got to be the alchemist, turning metal to gold. And that's it, really. So basically, right now, they are going through a lot, but they should, hopefully, by spring this year, be coming back for a lot of you. Okay. So when I did the trailer for this, I talked about reset, restart, and refocus. Okay, so each moment it's a reset. Even if you're triggered and there's a backward step for you or them, doesn't matter. You're always moving forwards. Put your focus on where it needs to be, which is on your life and God, your mission, your purpose, and that is where they will go. Don't put the focus on where the wobbly happened, where the boo-boo happened, where the issue happened. You know, when you have a child and they have a little fall down and you say, oh, baby, the child cries more and acts out more and it creates more issues. But if you're like, oh, baby, you're okay, and you give it a little rub, kiss, and you move on, acknowledge it, refocus, reset, that will happen. And give grace. Always give grace and forgiveness, because if the DM's having a wobbly, you've had a wobbly too, and you're not human as well. And remember, it's not always about you. The DMs are learning to crawl, walk, and then run, and to be their own individuals, and to show you and themselves, show themselves that they can stand on their own 2 feet, because they've been incapacitated from childhood by their mothers. So when they do things, sometimes it's a mirror, sometimes it's a trigger to test if you really are balanced and you are really that spiritual real deal, because they haven't trusted feminine energy before and they want to dip their toe in before they know that they are safe. Okay, in the beginning they didn't believe that, so they acted out, because they're always seeing whether they don't trust feminine energy, so they're always seeing whether you are going to be there no matter what. And then you will get the dividends. Don't worry about it. They will also show it. So they're trying to show that they can be a man for you, but when they have triggers, they go back to default old behavior. So do you. And that doesn't fulfill anyone anymore. They want you. They're not fully ready yet. They're still cooking in the oven. So as DFs, we've got to keep going forwards, step by step, in your purpose, in your power, in your healing, in your mission, in your leadership. Because at the moment, the DMs, a lot of them don't have anything to show. So you've got to be patient, loving, understanding, graceful, and forgiving always. And eventually, it will all work out. That's a lot of information. And if you're a new follower, you'll be like, what the fuck? Because he's an asshole and he's a dickhead. But so are you. So, and so am I. I'm the biggest one out of all of them, right? That's my ego. So, science of the twin flame soul is that it's all perfectly designed. Sometimes you're not going to know where the issue comes from, where the wound comes from. It's not even your own. It could be humanity's, past lives, ancestry. So don't fixate on it. Don't remunerate. Reset, reframe, refocus. Keep going forwards. Always forgive, give grace. This is your soul. Don't hate it. We are all monsters at the end of the day. We all have distortions. We are beggars. Nothing is owed to us. Each day, give your mind, body, and soul to God and surrender it all. Release it all. And allow God to do magic through you. Do your mission. It's a very trying time, the next week or so, and then it will be good. But we are doing a lot of planetary work for Earth, New Earth, Age of Aquarius, Ascension. The world has a lot of toxicity coming out, and try as DFs to support each other, not be entitled or self-absorbed, not keep pestering with comments and questions. And it's not just to me. A lot of my DF friends, people are bothering them. Don't bother people right now. Stand on your own 2 feet. Some of us are doing planetary work in the astral, in dreams, energetically. There's stuff that we're doing on a grand scale. So stop pissing each other off. Stop pissing me off. Pay for sessions. Pay for coaching. Pay for your questions. Stop being needy, codependent, and toxic. Because we got bigger things to do than deal with your ego, childish bullshit. And with that, much love. Take care. God bless you. From Bali. Bye.